the Pope being named Man of the Year, has spoken to the world eloquently about this whole issue of the vulnerable. And so I'd ask this, Mr. Woodall, and the Rules Committee, let's put the Van Hollen, Lee, and Levin amendment on the floor tonight, tomorrow. Call us back, Mr. Boehner. Call us back, Mr. Boehner. Let us vote to provide for unemployment insurance for working men and women.
Time has expired.
So that faces across America will not have the tear of desperation.
Gentlewoman's time is expired.
The deal is good.
That's all, folks. Welcome to the Savage Nation. That, of course, was the inimitable Sheila Jackson Lee, who in my time would have, well, let's leave it at that. It's a family program. She wants unemployment benefits extended for working men and women, which is very interesting when you consider that we were just told the job numbers are so great and unemployment is down under the great Obama, who's just back from South Africa, where a fake sign language interpreter who has said, I've been violent in the past, but I saw angels that day. Turns out that the signer at the event was a faker. Thamsankwa Janchi, I guess how you say it. The man accused of faking sign interpretation next to world leaders. Remember what I'm talking about. He stood next to Obama and other world leaders for 4 hours. He has violent episodes. We are spied on by the n.s.a, and they didn't know he was a schizophrenic lunatic. How's that, folks? How about playing Looney Tunes the next time you hear about national security? The man is insulting all those with true mental illness. He's insulting South Africa. He's insulting the memory of Mandela. What an excuse. Unbelievable, huh? Anyway, here we are in the Savage Nation. If you think that's the only sound that's worthy of the Looney Tunes soundbite, you're mistaken. What would the night be if we didn't have Nancy Pelosi with the Looney Tunes soundbite in clip one? Let's hear it.
I think it really captured the moment, wouldn't you think?
Oh, I'm not criticizing it. It seems to sum up what you think of this legislation.
Well, it's not just the legislation, it's the whole process and the fact that we don't have unemployment insurance and those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, we need to have a budget. So what we decided was that our approach would be to...
You're not going to say it to me? Embrace the suck. Okay.
Yeah. Only in America could we be ruled by such people. Well, we have one more that's worthy of a Looney Tunes background, and I don't know which one it was. We have Sheila Jackson Lee, and I don't want people to think I'm a sexist. Oh, the translator, he's a male, so I can't be accused of sexism. Here is the fake sign language interpreter who said, I've been violent in the past, but I saw angels that day in clip number 5.
The problem, I don't know the attack of this problem, how will it come? Sometimes I will react violent on that place. Sometimes I will see like things like chasing me, and then, you know, I was very, very, very difficult position.
A man with a history of violence that bursts out and beats people up, violent schizophrenic, fakes it as a sign language interpreter. The company that had hired him is gone. They don't know where they are. And he was next to President Obama. He said that he didn't, they said he was just flapping his arms and speaking gibberish with his signs. Well, I thought that's what Obama does on a daily basis. I don't know. I mean, isn't that what he does? Flaps his arms and basically speaks gibberish? They said the translation company offered substandard services, and the rate they paid the translator, $77 a day, is far below the usual rate of up to $164 an hour. I would say that we should hire him to be the president, frankly. It would be a bargain. He couldn't do any worse than this administration is doing. You know what I'm saying? Flapping your arms and speaking gibberish? Would that be much different than what Obama does on a daily basis? Don't call me. Don't call me. You ready for the real show? You see, I've been warming you up. I told you that when... I was a mere anthropologist. I shouldn't say mere anthropologist. The years I was a medical anthropologist. I lived in the South Pacific Islands, and I met a lot of interesting professor types. And a lot of them would go way back to the colonial days of doing medicine in the islands. And they told me that the way the indigenous folks that would be native to you, you can't say native anymore, that's considered a slur. The indigenous folks of the islands would... get a turkey drunk prior to slaughtering the turkey for cooking, because if you they give them gin, in other words. All of the colonial Brits used to drink gin and tonics. So my old friend Dr. D told me, he said they get the turkeys drunk prior to slaughtering them, and the meat was a lot more tender. You get it? Well, by playing these sound bites for you, I gave you the equivalent of the turkey treatment just now. So my little turkeys step forward for the real horrendous news of the day. I don't even know how to tell you these stories. It's going to get so bad tonight when you hear what's going on in your world that you're going to actually probably need a little gin before the show. Before the show is over is what I'm getting at. If you haven't had one, I suggest you reach into the whiskey cabinet and get one now. Let us begin with the Pope. Pope Francis calls for spreading the wealth in his first peace message as Pope. He did it again. Now, as you know, Limbaugh took credit for that, even though I did it on a Tuesday night and he did it Wednesday morning. I must tell you, I was the first one to point out to you that it's liberation theology. This is the first Pope in 1,400 years who was non-European. This is all planned. This is a new world, let us say USSR type emerging. Instead of the United Soviet States, Soviet Republic, the USSR, it's a new world order on the order of the old Soviet Union that is emerging in the world. It's a terrifying thing to live through in my time. So Pope Francis attacks mega salaries and big bonuses Thursday, saying in the first peace message of his pontificate that they are symptoms of an economy based on greed and inequality. In his message for the Roman Catholic Church's World Day of Peace, marked by the church around the world on Jan 1, he called for more sharing of wealth among people and nations to narrow the gap between the rich and the poor. The Pope said the grave financial and economic crisis of the present time have pushed man to seek satisfaction, happiness, and security in consumption and earnings out of all proportion to the principles of a sound economy. He's an economist now. A former bouncer is now an economist. The Pope went on. He said the succession of economic crises should lead to a timely rethinking of our models of economic development and to a change in lifestyles. That's what Karl Marx said, by the way, to a rethinking of our models of economic development. That's all Karl Marx wanted, was a rethinking of our models of economic development. And what that led to in the ex-Russia became the Soviet Union was there was one salami hanging in the store and there was a line around the block to buy the one salami. You see, the poor people don't know how to invest money to bid on a salami or many salamis. They line up to get a free salami. Francis, who was named Time Magazine's a Person of the Year, that means nothing. Time Magazine was sold for $1, or was it $3? Has urged his own church to be more fair, frugal, and less pompous, to be closer to the poor and suffering, and so forth and so on. Now, to his credit, the new Pope's style is characterized by frugality. He shunned the spacious papal apartment in the Vatican's apostolic palace to live in a small suite in a Vatican guest house. And he prefers a Ford Focus to the traditional Pope's Mercedes. Well, I myself prefer a Mercedes to a Ford Focus, and I can guarantee you his guest house quarters are better than mine, but nevertheless, he is the Pope after all. He's entitled to it. But let me ask you something. Where do you think the so-called treasures of the Vatican came from? Were they donated by the poor of Europe at that time, or was it as a result of the rich who commissioned the art? Huh? Any questions on that? Do you understand what I just said to you? Let me ask you a question on the Savage Nation. Let's say your corporation were to give you a big bonus at the end of the year. What would you do with it? Would you run to the nearest Catholic church and hand it over to the priest and tell him to dispense it to the poor? Or would you say, you know what, I have a family member who is not doing well, I need to help her or him? Would you perhaps set your bonus aside for your children's future college tuition? Do you understand that corporations hand out big bonuses to people who bring in big business? Do you understand that? Not all employees are equal, but those who bring big profits to the corporation deserve their big bonuses. Do you get that? I'm very admirable. I mean, the Pope's statements are admirable, but it's something that does not apply in real life. How about throwing stones from a glass house? Who built that gold palace called the Vatican? It wasn't the poor. You get the picture? Now, you have to understand what I just said to you. I am not attacking the Catholic Church nor Catholicism. I will say that again. The Catholic Church is a fabulous institution, and Catholicism is a great religion. But as someone wrote, the good news is this. As a faithful Catholic, he is free to ignore his comments on matters unrelated to faith and morals. And in this case, I believe the Pope is wrong. Do you believe the Pope is right or wrong? 855-400-7282. 855-400-SAVAGE, the most skeptical show in radio. Mark your calendars. Mark your calendars. January 1st, this show moves to a new location. Same station that I'm on, probably the same station I'm on, but a new time. On the East Coast, 3 to 6 drive time. On the West Coast, 12 to 3 noon time. And I should tell you that I'm going to be the last man standing in radio. I knew this would happen when I began 20 years ago this March. I predicted I'd be in the winner's circle. I didn't know it would be this big a win. But I am at the winner's table right now. Hannity lost 52 cumulative stations. No matter what Hey Abbott says, he's not doing better. He's doing worse. Hannity lost 52 cumulative stations. I got them all. It's that simple. And they're the best stations in America. He has substituted a few with a few decent stations, but by and large, he's been knocked down to B-level stations. Yes, he'll have more stations than I will, but it's not all about size. I mean, size may matter to some, and the number of stations may matter to some, but at the end of the day, that's not what really matters. It's the quality, not the size. Ask any... Wait, it's a family show. 855-407... 855-400-728. So we have two stories. We have the sign language interpreter who's a faker, a lunatic, subject to violence, who admitted that he's a schizophrenic, who said he just flapped his arms around and spoke gibberish with his signs, which are not real deaf signs. He was not vetted by the Secret Service. The n.s.a. didn't find that out. They were busy seeing if you're a conservative and what your internet surfing habits may be. That's the kind of country we're living in today. The Stasi is upside down. The Stasi is upside down. Oh, I don't mind having a spy agency. We need it with all of our friendly Muslims in this country. We absolutely need a Stasi in America. Only, how come they couldn't catch the Sarnoff brothers before the Boston bombing? I guess they were too busy looking at conservatives who saluted the flag. Or perhaps they were looking at Navy SEALs who were concerned about that helicopter crash. Maybe that's part of their problem. 855-400-7282 is the phone number. It is now, do you know what time? Do you have any idea what time it is? Do you realize it's already 18 minutes after the hour? Do you have any idea what that means? I don't. That's why I'll be right back.